In today's lesson, we're going to take a look at tables. So before we get started, I'm going to show you an old website that I made only using HTML and exactly what we have learned until now. So this was a personal portfolio challenge I gave you for last time. And as you can see for myself, I added a circular image, I added my name, added some anchor tags, I added some horizontal rules, and I added some more things. And then at the bottom, I have my skill set. So if you don't know how to add these emojis, just wait and I'll explain that in the next video. But for now, we're going to go ahead and see how I made this. And then we're going to start looking at tables. So over here, we're using a table. So I'm going to go ahead and close this now. And I'm going to open up this. This over here is the code for that website. So this, starting at the top, we could start seeing that I added a bunch of notes, but we're gonna ignore these for now as they were just made for me and they helped me understand. So scrolling down, as you can see, I have a title and everything is normal. And then what we're going to start noticing is that I have a table. So as you can see, I have a table tag over here. They're a paired tag as everything in there is within the table. So we're not going to worry about this attribute for now. We're going to come back to this later. So the first thing that we see is TR. TR is again a paired tag and it is stands for table row. So if I open up a table example, so let me just open this up. I'm gonna search up table example. So as you can see, this over here, let's say this one over here, law vision, this over here, this is a table row. Moving on, we have an image now in the table row. So again, I have the alt tag, I have the source tag, and I have the width and etc. Below that, I have my header tag, so stating that this in whatever I'm gonna have Gunver Daisy written as a big title. But if we trace back, you'll notice that we have a TD tag. TD tag stands for table detail. So if I go ahead and open this back up, you'll see that this over here is a table detail. Law vision 5 is a table detail, and etc. So this over here would be in the first cell. So this could be, for example, in cell 1. And then the second one, which is TD over here, again, because it's a pair tag, they're gonna come in pairs. So this is the second one. All of this would be in the second one. So it'd be in this over here. So now that we know what TR, table, and TD stands for, we can start making our own table. So to do this, I'm going to first go ahead and open up a new file. So I'm going to click on add folder and I'm going to go ahead and find the location of where I've made rest of my projects. So I'm just going to open up web dev and over here I could open up HTML. I'll call this lesson 4. Or I could call this project 4. It might be helpful if you use better names, but for now I'm just going to use simple names like project 4. And I'm going to click on select folder. I'm going to go ahead and leave this open as we may need it. So in the new folder that we created, which is at the top left, I can right click on this and I'm going to create a new file. And I'm going to call this index.html. Now that I've made this, I can start coding. So I'm going to type in HTML and I'm going to get my boilerplate as we discussed that before. And for the title, I'm going to type in table example. And now I could start coding in my body tag. So I could go in here and I can start making my table. So I'm going to write table code below. Now what we want to do is actually open up this table. So I could first right click on this and I'm going to copy full path and I'm going to open up our tab and I'm going to paste it up here. And you can see there's nothing and the tab name is table example. So we can start programming. So I'm going to quickly go ahead and bring this to the right side and bring this to the left side. Okay, so let's start coding now. I'm going to first go ahead and create the table paired tag. So I'm going to type in table and I'm going to press enter. I now have the ending and beginning table tags. I can go ahead and now add a row because I want my first row to be there. So before I even type that, I can reload this. You'll see nothing changed because I have nothing in my table. So I'm going to add a table row. So I'm going to type in tr, press enter. I have my table row. And if I press reload, nothing happens. In my table row, I want to add table detail. So I can type in td, see, table cell, same as table detail, and I press enter, and I could go ahead and add a paragraph, and in my paragraph, I could type in hi. So if I reload this, you'll see I have hi over here. So I'm going to go ahead and copy table detail, and in my table detail, I'm going to paste this 3 times, so you'll see, oops, I forgot to save. If I reload it, you'll see hi, hi, and hi. And again, this is all in the same row because this is in one table row. So I could copy and paste this again under that. And if I reload this, you'll see I have hi, 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 and hi, hi, hi. And why is it showing under? Just because this is in a new table row. So if I go back to my code and I scroll back up, I added an image. Well, this is the same thing. I just added an image in the table detail. So again, if I go back over here, you'll see in my TD, instead of adding a paragraph tag, I could add my image here. So if I delete this, I could, for example, type in IMG and then give a location of the image. So I could just search up Baby Yoda image. I could copy the full path. So I'm going to click on copy image address and I could paste it. And if I reload it, I have my Baby Yoda beside the 2 highs, and that's a table detail. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that. And in fact, I'm just going to delete this whole row. And I'm going to go ahead and delete 2 of these over here. So now I only have 1 table detail. So if I reload, I'll only have high. If I go back, you can see I added a header, I added a paragraph, and that's basically it. That's how you make a table. So now that we've made it an hour thing, I want you to go ahead and try to make your own table. So how can I go ahead and make the score option or the score thing that we added? So I'm going to go over here and in the table detail, I'm going to type in H1 and I'm going to type in scores, for example. Just thinking on top of my head, and have scores. And right beside that, I want to have another header. So I'm going to have to add another table detail because I want this to be a different cell. And I want to type in scores and I want to type in subjects. Even though it should be the other way around, it's fine just because this is an example. So I have scores and subjects. So below this, in a different row, I'm going to type in TR. And in this table row, I'm going to go ahead and start typing in some scores. For example, I could say that for a score could be, let's say 50. And then right beside that, I want to have another table detail. And I want to say for that subject, let's say it was math. Do you see an issue with what I did so far? If so, good job. But if you didn't, it's fine. It's just because I never added any paragraph tags. I could have added any tags, but I just want to add paragraph tags as it suits my needs. So I'm going to type in P, and I could type in, for example, math. So if I reload this, you'll see score is 50, subject is math. So I could go ahead and get another table row. So I'm going to copy this TR. In fact, I'm going to space this out and give some comments. I'll say math score. And below that, I'm going to go ahead and type in, let's say, science score. And I could paste this. And I could say in science, I had 3. And then science. So if I reload, you'll see I have 3 and 50. So this is just an example. As you might have noticed, these are really, really close. So there's something called cell spacing. And if I go back to the previous code over here, you'll see in my table cell, I have cell spacing. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this. And I'm going to go ahead and close this now. So bye. Over here, I'm going to go ahead and press space. And I'm going to paste the same thing. Let's see what happens. And I'll break it down. As you can see, everything is beautifully spaced out now. So everything over here has a gap and it just looks better overall. If I drew lines all around my table, you would see that from here to here, it's about a 20 distance. Cell spacing over here is a attribute, and this is an attribute's value. So that's basically how you make a table. And you could go ahead and become very creative by adding an image on this side and adding a paragraph over here as a workaround instead of doing some other complex CSS coding to make something work. Congratulations on finishing this lesson.